Hi guys. Okay, so this is lesson 5.3 and everything you see on the screen is a lot. You do not have to copy it down, but those are all the 6 pieces I have to get through. So pay attention, make sure you're listening, make sure you're writing. Here we go. Okay, so 5.3 slope-intercept form of a linear equation. Our first vocabulary word that you need to know is a linear equation is an equation that models a linear function. In a linear equation, the variables cannot be raised to a power other than 1. So these are important points. Write down which one is a linear equation, that y equals, hold on, I just want to grab a pen. Y equals 2x is linear, but these two are not linear. And you can modify your notes as what you need. You don't need to write the whole paragraph, but you need to have the key points that are written in there. Okay. First objective, we have 6 if you noticed from before. Identify the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. There are actually several forms for a linear equation. We are going to start with this one. The slope-intercept form of a linear equation of a non-vertical line is y equals mx plus b. And m is the slope and b is your y-intercept. I don't know why we chose m to be slope. I wasn't there when they picked it, but that's the variable that we will be using for slope. And b is your y-intercept. And that's where, if you remember, that's where on a graph it crosses the y-axis. So if you need to write that down because you forgot, this is where the graph my pen's starting to act up again. Graph crosses the y-axis. Okay, so m can be, your slope can be negative, it could be a fraction, it could be a decimal, or it can be 0. Your b, same thing, can also be negative, fraction, decimal, or 0. So I'm going to show you an equation, and you're going to decide whether it's in slope-intercept form or not. And basically, what you're going to look for is to see is the y on one side, and then everything else on the other side. Here we go. 2x plus y equals 5. That's actually not in slope-intercept form. We could make it that way by subtracting our 2x to both sides, and you would get that. So now that's in slope-intercept form. In our next one, let's see, this is not wanting to move. Why is this freaking out on me? Okay, here's our next one. Oh my goodness. There we go. This is not in slope-intercept form. 6x minus 3y equals 12. It's actually similar to another form that we're going to learn later in this chapter. We can make it into slope-intercept form. Just trying to fix my pen. By subtracting the 6x to both sides and then dividing both sides by negative 3. So what will happen, I'm just going to delete the box out hopefully, and you can see. So we subtracted the 6x to both sides and we divided both sides by negative 3. That final one is in slope-intercept form. The last one, y equals negative 7, that's actually in slope-intercept form. We have the y equals and other stuff on the other side. The slope there, because there's no x, is 0. All right, so that was part 1. Part 2, identify the slope and the y-intercept of a linear equation. What are the slope and the y-intercept of y equals 5x minus 2? You're just going to set it up. Remember our general formula is y equals mx plus b. So the slope is what's being multiplied to your x. So our slope in this case is 5, and our b is negative 2. So let's try some other examples. Here in this case, we have y equals negative 2x plus 5. Your m is negative 2, and your b is positive 5. In this example, your m is the number multiplied to x is 2. Your b is negative 4. And in this one, there is no x. So if you don't see an x, that means 0 is being multiplied to your x. So your slope is 0, and your b is negative 7. Okay, so I'd like you to try one. We have y equals, so you should write down this right here. Y equals negative half x plus 2/3. Find your m and your b. Your rate or your slope is -1/2, and your y-intercept is positive 2/3. You could also just write b equals 2/3. All right, next. Write an equation given the slope and the y-intercept. So now we're going the reverse of what we just did. Now I want you to take those two and plug them into our general equation. Okay, so we're writing the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. You should start with that, your formula, and then you're going to plug in what you have. We get that, y equals -4/5 x plus 7. Pretty easy. We'll practice more of these in class, don't worry. Okay, so here we go. I want you to try one. If I tell you that the slope is, oh, I didn't mean to delete, sorry, had the wrong thing on. If the slope is 3/2 and your y-intercept is -1, can you write the equation? All right, well, we have everything we need. We write our formula and we plug it in. Okay, just remember here this plus b, we had a -b, so it turned to -b. Just take note of that. All right, write an equation from a graph. So I'm going to give you a graph. You need to pull out the two things. In order to write an equation in slope-intercept form, we need to know our slope and we need to know our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is where it crosses the graph. So our y-intercept is right here, this -2. That's where it's crossing your y-axis. Your slope, you have to find your rise and your run. So we're going to pick another point on our graph. I picked another point. And I'm going to find my rise. I went up 2 and I ran 1. And that should be a review from last lesson. So my slope is 2. I went up 2 and I went over 1. You could write 2/1, but we simplify that to 2. So now we can write and plug that into our equation. There we go. Our slope was our rise over run. Oh, deep. This was a multiple choice question. I changed it. So our equation is y equals 2x minus 2. Okay. Write the equation given 2 points. This is my hardest one. Super hard. Pay attention. Once you get it, once we do a bunch, you'll be fine, but pay attention. So these are my steps. Find your m, find your slope, find the b, and then write the equation. So first thing, we're going to write, you can write your ordered pairs above and below, and then we're going to subtract our y's. Oh, sorry, I didn't like that I changed that there. Keeps getting fidgety like that. I'm in this program. So circle your y's. I don't know why it keeps doing this. Oh, there we go. Okay, you subtract your y's over subtract your x's. There's our formula. Plug that in. 1 minus -8 over 2 minus 5, and we simplify. Our slope, we can simplify that even further. Is -3. Okay, now we're going to use that m, and we're going to pick one of our ordered pairs. I'm actually going to see if I can delete out my circle. Okay, you're going to pick whichever ordered pair you like. It doesn't matter. However, I always suggest using ones that don't have negative if you can. So I'm going to plug in using, it's not going to let me. I don't know why it doesn't like when I switch back and forth. I don't know why it keeps moving. There we go. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain to you is we're going to write y equals mx plus b. We're going to plug in our -3, which is our m. Right underneath here, you're going to put in a -3. X and y, I'm going to pull from here. Here's your x. It doesn't want me to write up there. And here's my y. So my x is going to be 2. I don't know why this computer is giving me glitches here. 2 equals my, oh, I wrote that in backwards. My y is 1. Oh my goodness, equals, my x is 2, so times 2 here. My goodness, I don't know why it's not working. I'm going to have to write with my mouse. Nope, I don't want to do that either. Okay, I'm going to show you what Ms. Kumar did underneath here. She did use the other point. Or no, she used this point. Okay, and then you multiply them and simplify over, and you get b equals 7. So therefore, our equation, you plug in your m and your b, and you get y equals negative 3x plus 7. Okay, try one more. Pause me, see how you do on this. You write your equation. You write your points up and down. Find their slope. There's your slope. Plug in your slope into the m, into our equation, under m, and then you pick one of the ordered pairs. Both of them have negatives, so it really doesn't matter which one you pick. Okay, we picked 1 and negative 3. We solve, we get that. B equals negative 3 over 2. Therefore, our equation is a half x minus 7 over 2, which is the same thing as our mixed number, negative 3.5. Okay, last part, and then we are done. Graph a line using the slope-intercept form. Okay, so first thing you need to know is you need to pull out the m and the b from our given equation. Plot the y-intercept or any other point that is on the line. Okay, I'm going to give you all these steps, and then I'll hopefully be able to graph with my pen. Let's see if it works. So my my m in this case is 2. My b in this case is negative 1. You start by plotting your y-intercept, which is negative 1, right down here. Okay, then you're going to move using your rise and run from the point. My slope is 2, so I'm going to go up from my y-intercept, up 2 spots, 1, 2, and over 1. So I'm going to put my point right there. Create 3 points, so do it again. Go up 2, over 1, put another point. And then you're going to use a ruler, or you can use a straight edge to connect your points with arrows. You're going to label your line y equals 2x minus 1. And that's it. All right, have a good one. We'll talk more about this in class.